Hey guys, so I want to share this story time on something scary that happened to me and my son while we were at Children's Hospital. So this happened exactly a week ago today. So this happened last Tuesday. So just keep that in mind. So my son got admitted to Children's Hospital on Sunday, last Sunday. We were there for the first few days. It was fine. Everything was fine. Um, So like I said, the first few nights, the first days were fine. But Tuesday night rolls along, and just about maybe 11:30 p.m. I tuck my son into bed, cover him, turn the lights off. At Children's Hospital, they have like this couch that converts into a bed, and that's pretty much where the parents sleep. So like I said, I had laid down. Um, they also have this little like curtain thing, so I closed the curtains like kind of a little bit halfway. Um, and yeah, I lay down. So at this point, I'm sleeping. My son is sleeping, and at about 1:30 in the morning, I get this like, so I get this like, this gut feeling, I guess, to wake up, to open my eyes. So I open my eyes, and what do I see? I see a man standing at the edge of the bed with his private out. At that moment, I was scared. Obviously, I get woken up out of my sleep, to that. You're going to be scared. You're going to be crying, screaming, So I'm practically I'm loud, I'm screaming, the door's closed so they can't hear outside. So I'm telling this man, I don't know you. I don't know you. Get out, like get the fuck out. I don't know you. And he has the nerve to tell me, chill, chill. So at this point, I'm already sitting up. I'm face to face with this person. So I push him and I run to the door. As I open the door, I see two nurses in the front, literally like feet away from our door. They were standing there. And basically, the way our room was set up, it was our room, and then right across, it was a nursing station. Um, so I basically just tell them, hey, there's a man in my room who I don't know with his thing out. And they just look at me in complete shock. They don't know what to do. They're shocked. Um, and so they walk into the room and they tell the man, hey, excuse me, sir. You need to leave. You need to get out. You can't be here. So the nurses take the man out of the room, and I guess that is when they realized that the man was in the wrong room. He was supposed to be, I guess, a few rooms down. I don't know if right next to us or a few rooms down, but basically he was the dad of the patient that was staying there in the hospital. So what does the hospital do? Well, what does the nurse do? They send him back into his room where he's supposed to be. They send him back into his room, and I walk back into my room. I'm crying. I'm making sure, my son's okay. I'm making sure, pretty much everything's okay. And as I go to like the where I was laying, the bed, I see there's urine everywhere. He peed on everything. There was pee on my shoes. There was pee on the floor. There was pee on the bed. Anywhere that I was laying, there was pee. So there's already nurses like gathered outside our room, pretty much trying to figure out what the next step is, what they're gonna do. And I go outside and I tell the nurse that's there, I'm like, you know what? There's pee everywhere. He peed on everything. I was very adamant on how I wanted him like kicked out. Like I didn't want him in the floor. I didn't want to be near him. I didn't want to be next to him. Like I was scared. I was scared to run into this person again. And I expressed that to them. I told them, I'm like, you know what? I don't feel comfortable if he stays here. Like he needs to get kicked out. At this point, security, nobody is being called. Absolutely nobody is being called. It's just the nurses trying to figure out, what the next step is. So I told them, you know what, he needs to be gone. Like, so then that's when the charge nurse came and talked to me and was like, you know what, this nothing like this has ever happened before. Pretty much we need to see what the next steps are. And I was like, no, there is no next steps. The only next steps are to get him out. And that is when I guess their nurse came and gave pretty much face for them and was like, oh, you know what, I'm so sorry, he is the dad of my patient, he's been very good, he's been with his kid all day and blah blah blah. She's like, he feels really bad. The wife claims that he was sleepwalking. Once she told me that, I was like, no, 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 that I do not care. Like, they were kind of like wanting to let it slide because they were like, oh well, it's just sleepwalking, and I'm like, no, that is not acceptable, especially being in a children's hospital. What if, God forbid, my son would have been alone, or what if he would have walked into another child's room and did that? I'm like, no, that is not okay, regardless of what excuse they were making up. No. So then that is when the nurse came. She was with the charge nurse, and she got she ripped open a gauze, and she went into the room, and she was like, oh, I have to take a sample of the urine. So I was like, okay, like a sample for the cops or a sample for the hospital. So she goes and she, like, wipes it. She looks at it. Obviously she sees it's pee, and she goes and she tells the charge nurse, it is pee. No shit. Why would I lie about something like that? So again, I was still on, he needs to leave, he needs to leave. That behavior is not acceptable. Whatever it was, whether he came in with whether it was an accident or he came in with bad intentions, you do not allow that to happen in a children's hospital. So then the charge nurse comes, and it's like, you know what, we pretty much have to wait for the social worker and pretty much see what they advise us, because technically, I guess they were gonna go home that same day. This was obviously at 1:30 in the morning. They were gonna go home in the morning. They were scheduled to get discharged that same morning. And I'm like, no, I do not care. Like, he needs to be, like, the child could stay. Mind you, the wife was also there. So it's not like this child was by himself, like he was the only parent that was there. No, the mom was also there. So they were just, kind of giving the back and forth, like, oh, they probably thought that I was gonna be like, oh, no, no, it's fine, he can stay in his room. But I was like, no, like, nope, you guys need to do something about it, because that's not acceptable. I was like, no, they're playing too much. So I went ahead and I called the police station, pretty much let them know what had happened. They're like, okay, we're gonna send somebody out. So the minute I told the charge nurse that I had called the cops, he was like, oh, well, you have to let me know if they are gonna come, because I need to let security know, so security, lets them up. Mind you, at this point, security is nowhere near our room at all. So I was like, okay, like, all of a sudden. So I was like, yes, they're gonna come. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna let, the social worker know to let security downstairs know. So then the minute I said that, that is when, guess who shows up? Social worker shows up. Guess who else? Security. All of a sudden, security is right outside of our room, all of a sudden guarding our room. So then the social worker comes and was like, oh, you know what, we're gonna kick him out, and he's not gonna be able to come back up, he's gonna have visitor restrictions. She's like, but we have to wait till the cops come, because the cops might wanna ask him questions. All of a sudden. So not long after, the cops showed up and basically were like, what happened? I told them, and they're like, okay, well, where's security? And I'm like, I asked myself the same question, like, they're not here. They're only downstairs, when you first walk in. And they're like, okay, they're like, so you're telling me that the hospital failed to keep you and your son safe? And I said, yes, like, that's exactly what it is. Like, that is why I felt like I needed to take matters in my own hands and, call them, like, call the cops myself, because the hospital just, like, failed us, like, tremendously. And so they took him out of his room. I seen when they escorted him out, they had to walk obviously in front of my room in order to get to the front. I seen when they walked him out, and all of a sudden security was right behind them. And I seen they took his, like, badge, because in order to come up, you need a visitor's pass. So they took his visitor's pass, and they walked him out. So this is part 2 to the story. I left off where they kicked him out. Pretty much, he was gone. The social worker came back and was like, you know what, he's gone. Try to make it all better. Like, oh my God, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. I was like, okay. Also, the charge nurse came and was like, I'm so sorry. Pretty much the whole floor knew what had happened, what was going on. So, a lot of emotions, a lot of thoughts are going through my head. I'm like, what was he doing before I woke up? How long was he in there for? So I told our charge nurse, I'm like, is there any way you guys can look back at the cameras or like the footage of him coming into my room? Like, I want to know how long he was in there for, what he did. And the nurse proceeds to tell me that another nurse saw when this man walked inside our room, and she thought that I guess he was a nurse or some sort of hospital staff. Mind you, this person was wearing a gray hoodie, his hood on, and gray sweatpants. And the charge nurse was like, oh, she said that he wasn't inside your room no more than 2 or 3 minutes. So you're telling me that this man was in our room with the door closed for 2 or 3 minutes? It's scary to even think of, what he was doing, what he was trying to do. I do still have a lot of trauma from this. Like I said, it just happened a week ago. But I am upset on how Children's Hospital handled the situation. It was handled very poorly. Like, they need to do better, especially it being a children's hospital. Like, my child goes there and a whole bunch of other children go there. So parents, please be aware.
Nobody else has gone and gotten my grandma's necklace. I've had this thing since my grandma died 5 years ago. It is not in here.
I didn't take it.
Grab your stuff. I'm driving you up to St. Cloud and I'm calling the police and having them go through.
Hey guys, so here's a new update on what happened in my most viral video about my brother's ex-girlfriend stealing from me and my family. So for everybody saying that they do not believe that she stole from me and my family, she did in fact steal from us. If you go and watch one of the story times, we do have picture proof of all of our stuff in her bag. So basically, we called the cops once my mom's necklace was missing. The cops came, they dug around and found it, and she admitted that she takes things and she puts it back because she feels guilty. She also did tell me and my sister that she plans on giving our stuff back after she steals it, so she was just coming in with a new load of our stuff. So the cops came, we went through her bag one last time, and my sister found her used underwear in her bag that was just on the bathroom floor. So the male cop was watching this when she pulled out her underwear, and the look on his face was very disgusted. So the cops did take her just to go meet up with her sister to pick her up and bring her home. So after this situation happened, I was still in contact with her, and I remember asking her why she stole from me and my family, and I asked her if it was because she needed new clothes or new makeup or something like that as she couldn't afford it, and she did tell us no. She told us that it's just a stealing habit that she had and that she would steal from her friends back when she was younger. My sister and my mom also felt bad and thought maybe she was stealing because she needed these things and they were going to send her money, but then after she told me that she stole because it was a habit, they obviously was not going to do that for her. So I was messaging her on Snapchat, and me and my sister gave her a list of everything that she took in from us in the past, and she did have her sister give us a big box of everything that she had of ours. Again, it was not everything. Still to this day, I find out more things that are missing that she stole. Well, after she gave it back to us, I did block her on Snapchat, and then I remember stalking her Facebook account, and her new picture was her in my sister's sweater, so I messaged her, and she was like, oh crap, sorry, I didn't know that was yours. I will either pay you back or get a way to get the sweater back to you. So she did tell me that once she got a job, she will pay us back for the underwear that we cannot wear anymore, and everything else that she still has, including the sweater. And then once she got a job, she did in fact block me, and we never got our stuff back. Replying to some of the comments, some of them said, what did her parents say? Her parents did not really care. We don't really know what they said of this. We did call the cops, and we did take her to court, and my brother had absolutely no idea that she was stealing from us. So there's a little wrap up on the videos that I'm talking about.
I just want to say, be careful who you let in your home to take care of your babies. Be careful with who comes in and who sees your things. Fuck, hold on. Okay, here we go. So a year ago, my boyfriend hired a girl from Rover, and she'd been doing dog sitting and house sitting while he would go out of town, while we would go out of town. Now we have 2 dogs, and my dog is right here. She's very anxious, has separation anxiety. But we've built trust with this girl. We've allowed her to come in and take care of the house, and she doesn't really do a good job at that, as you'll learn. Allowed her to have friends over that we've never met. Allowed her to have pool parties, small pool parties, only girls, that sort of thing. But we grew to really just count on her. And this past weekend, we were out of town for my work trip. And I came home yesterday and just passed out. I was so tired. But this morning, wake up and realize shit's missing. And not just some things. PlayStation, 4 watches that include 3 Rolexes, a $12,000 tennis bracelet, an $8,000 Chanel bag, an AR-15, other guns, ammunition. But what is the worst part is seeing the Ring footage camera of these people that she had come over to party at the house, that we didn't know she was partying. We just thought casual hangout, like some sketchy individuals. She had come over. There's vodka in the fridge. There's beer bottles. Hold on. I'm sorry, I'll get through this. It's just really hard to tell this story. So we called her this morning, and we're trying to play it off and get the vibes of fill it out. So we asked her who she had over. She said her boyfriend and 2 coworkers. We asked for their names and numbers, and then informed her that we are missing a lot of stuff. And what she says is, "Oh, really?" Exactly like that. Not, "Oh my God, when did that happen? What are you missing? I'm so sorry. I'm responsible for what takes place at this house. I can't believe this has happened." So the Ring footage shows these 2 guys coming in with a pack of beer, a buzz ball, shows their faces, and they leave around 2:30 and come back at 4 a.m. Let my 8-month-old Doberman outside in the front yard, and they were wearing face masks and gloves, and closed the door, and you can hear my dog Heidi losing her ever-loving mind, crying, barking loud, and all doing this while the dog sitter's supposedly asleep in the room right there. You could hear it outside. You could hear it inside. There's no way she slept through that. I did not know. My dog's kennel is broken from her trying to escape. She had peed all around the kennel, which she's never done. She doesn't do that, guys. Like, she does not. She's very well trained, so she was terrified. And that one won't stop barking. So they managed to get close to $40,000 worth of really prized possessions for us. I mean, we work really hard, so my pool guys here and my dogs are on edge. So I feel violated, betrayed. I don't feel safe in my own house because they know where we live. and they know what we have. We are getting full-blown security everywhere. But that's besides the point. We trusted someone, and here we are. I'm praying that some of the things can be recovered. We have a active police investigation going on. But you can't take away this feeling. And you can't take away with what you did to my dogs. Just be really careful on who you have in your home and who they have in your home. And learn from this, because this is the worst feeling ever. And also schedule all of your valuables, jewelry, guns, art on your homeowner's policy, because if anything ever happens like this and it's not scheduled, you don't get reimbursed.
Okay. I used to be a kindergarten teacher, and I think I'm finally ready to tell my story about why I'm not a teacher anymore. Oh, I just suddenly got nervous. Okay. So let me set the scene first. So we had 3 kindergarten teachers at the beginning of the year, and I was out on maternity leave. So 2 teachers and a sub is what we really had. And there were 26 students in each class. That is crazy for a kindergarten class. Did you? Oh, you pooped. It's running out. Hold on. Okay. Wardrobe change. All right. So there was another teacher that was moved down from a different grade level. So then there were 4 kindergarten teachers, and that alleviated some of the stress of. Then I come back from maternity leave in September, the end of September, and everything was fine. I was still breastfeeding. I had to pump 3 times a day. I had to work out my own schedule. While I was making it work, I was also very stressed. I was having a really hard time. The stress was affecting my milk supply. I was struggling to make enough pumping for him at work, because, I mean, teaching is just a stressful job in general. And so I was trying my best to figure out ways to help myself in that aspect, and it was really wearing on me. And looking back, there was definitely some signs of postpartum depression. I'm medicated now and feeling a lot better, and being at home has helped a lot too, but we were struggling. So fast forward to December, I am observed for the first time, and I was given a weird time of day, and it was right before PE, and so I knew it was on a mop day, so I had to sweep my floors before my kids went to PE so that my floors could be mopped. And there were adults in and out of my room all morning. We were off our schedule, but I made it work. I was like, I'm just going to do what I normally do, because, I mean, I've been teaching for over 7 years now. I know what to do. I know how to make this work. You just do what you're always supposed to do every day. You don't put on a show just because you're being observed. He's not feeling good, so he's giving me a hard time. Yeah, giving me a hard time. So then, at the end of that week, I get an email with my evaluation scores, and they were awful, atrocious, terrible. I've never had scores that low. I've always had great evaluations in my 7 years of teaching, and even in this district that I was working in now, at the time, I still was getting great evaluations. What bothered me the most was that my lowest scores were for the climate and culture in my classroom. And if you're unaware, that is like your relationship with your students. And that just really took me back. Like, I have great relationships with my students, even though I had only been there for a month and a half. They knew how much I loved them. The parents of my students knew how much I loved them. So I didn't understand where that was coming from. Then I also asked around to other teachers and asked that if they had gotten their results back yet, and they told me no. So I was the only one that had gotten their results back, even though several people had been observed that day. And then I get an invitation to a meeting, a follow-up meeting for my observation. I knew that couldn't be good. So I go to this meeting, and I'm asked, how do you think you did? And I say, I thought everything was fine. You know, it was a weird day for me, but I thought I did the best that I could with what I had. I'm told I let you know ahead of time so that you could prepare for your best possible performance. Performance being the key word there. And I just did not see that in your room. No, you didn't, because I'm not a performer, I'm a teacher. I was doing my regular routine because that's what is important to kids. I'm thinking about my students, not what... And I responded honestly, and I just said that I didn't agree with my evaluation. I thought that it didn't reflect what I don't agree with. And I said, well, the main thing that I don't agree with is the scores I got for the climate and culture in my classroom. Then I'm told that I was the least warm and welcoming person that had been observed that day. And that hurt my feelings. I'm not gonna lie, it hurt my feelings. And then I start getting emotional, and I'm trying to breathe and calm myself down, but I'm feeling attacked. I feel like my character is being attacked. Like I am doing something seriously wrong, and I know that I'm not. I'm just here showing up every day trying my best as a 5-month postpartum mom and teacher. So then I'm given an 8-week teacher improvement plan. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is just more work for me to do. This is more work on me. And I'm already so run dry and so tired. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. And I'm starting to cry. And I'm told to sign this plan. And I was like, I just don't feel comfortable signing it because I don't agree with what it says. My job is threatened. I'm told, well, I can tell you that if you do not sign it, then the superintendent is going to want certain actions taken. Quote unquote. So I signed it because in the moment, I can't lose my job. I got a small child and a baby at home. But I signed the paper and I get the heck out of there and I cry for the rest of the day. And I struggle to teach my lesson while I'm crying, or teach all of my lessons for the rest of the day while I'm still crying. I called my union rep. I got in contact with my union rep and told her everything that happened. And, you know, she advised me in certain ways and, you know, to ask for a redo of my observation. I did that. I was denied a redo. Then I didn't hear anything else about this improvement plan. Nobody was coming to my room to work with me. Nobody was asking me for paperwork to turn in. None of that. And it's the Wednesday before Christmas break. I get a message at the very end of the day, come to my office as soon as you put your kids on the bus. I knew that that wasn't going to be good. So I immediately get nervous. And I get there and the superintendent's there. And they sit me down and they said, at the next school board meeting at the end of January, I will be recommending your termination. I'm speechless. I don't know what to say. And I asked, why? No, you're not tenured, so we don't have to give you a reason why. Okay, well, I want to stop this meeting until my representation can be present. You're not tenured, so you don't get representation. And you can call your representation, and she'll tell you the same thing. You don't have to agree with what this says. I just need you to sign it, stating that you received it, that you were given this notice. You'll be on administrative leave until the date of the next school board meeting, and you will be given the choice to resign or be terminated. You'll need to get your stuff out of your classroom as soon as possible. I said, I would like to get my stuff out tonight. Okay, well, keep your key in your bag so that you can get into the building. And just leave them on your desk when you're done getting your stuff out. So I went to my classroom that night with my family. Thank goodness they were all available to help me. I emptied everything out of my classroom. And I'm in tears thinking about how my students are going to feel walking into this bare classroom that has no decorations or no books or anything. I've had parents reach out and tell me how much their student misses me. And it breaks my heart. I wasn't even able to go and give them their Christmas gifts that I'd put together for them. And I couldn't participate in the Christmas party that I had prepared things for them. And so I just made sure to sign and write I love you in all of their presents so that they knew that I didn't just abandon them. Because that was my fear, was that they would think Miss Yeomans doesn't love us. I'm realizing that it is a blessing in disguise because my milk supply has come up since being able to be home with him. And I get to see him reach all of his little milestones. But I'm still heartbroken. And I'm coming on here just to make people more aware of what teachers in certain districts under certain administrations are going through. And I'm making this video to ask for prayers for not only me, but other teachers that may be going through the same thing, that are being treated a certain way that they do not deserve. So, thank you for listening.
I'm going to tell a story on here that I've never told on the internet before. I was in a relationship for 7 years with someone who I met when I was 19, and they were supposed to be my end-all be-all, and I absolutely threw all of my eggs into their basket. And around the 7-year mark, we were engaged, the wedding was booked, my wedding dress was picked out, everything was ready to go in a few months, and in 1 second, my entire life changed because I went on his phone, not even snooping. I just needed his phone for something. And I saw something that I would never be able to forgive. And my entire future was ripped out from under me. The family unit that we had built, the life and the future we had built together, completely shattered. And the reason I'm telling this is because I wish I could go back and tell my younger self never to throw your eggs into someone's basket. Make sure you always have a life outside of them, because you know what happened to me? I had to start from zero. I did not know how to be an individual. It was the most painful growing pains I've ever felt in my life. And had I just protected my future just in case something happened and I had my own livelihood outside of him, I would not have been in that situation. So I know this happens to a lot of people, and just please use my story as protection to yourself.
So I recently let go of an over 20-year-old friendship, even after spending around $4,000 for her overall wedding process, because of the way that I was treated the day before, during, and after the wedding. So I had known this girl since elementary school, and majority of our friendship was long distance, but here's why it's so sentimental to me. I did not grow up in a very safe and secure household, and so her friendship and her home was like a sanctuary for me. I experienced love that I would not have experienced anywhere else during that time, and that changed me as an individual. And so there was a lot of sentimental feelings towards that. Anyways, when she reached out to me a year and a half ago telling me she's engaged and how she wants me to be her maid of honor, I did not just see that as like an opportunity to be maid of honor, but as like a way for me to show my gratitude for the safety and love that I felt growing up. And I just wanted to show her just how much I love her as well. So I didn't tell her this, but obviously the bachelorette party, the entire wedding process, whatever it took to make her happy, I was willing to pay. And my husband was 100% on board because he understands the trauma that I had growing up. And so I was happy to do this. Now I'm going to talk about the prices, not to mention and emphasize the importance of what I spent, because honestly, it's not even about the money. It's just kind of showing you how far I'm willing to go for this girl. Anyways, so I spent around $1,200 for the bachelorette trip because I'm the only one coming from out of state to go there, flying and getting that round trip back, and also paying for Airbnb, food, the gift that she got at her bachelorette and bridal shower, goodie bags for other bridesmaids, and miscellaneous items like drinks. And so all of that was around $1,200. Then I come back, and before the wedding, obviously I need my bridesmaid's dress, and I have to fly over to the other state that they're having the wedding, which was actually further than where she originally lives, and the hotel. And so that was around another $1,200 to $300. oopsies, husband booked for the wrong month. And so we actually ended up having to pay double, $800 and $500 for the hotel to rebook. They were planning from out of state, and so they were doing a lot of last minute planning like a week before the actual wedding was happening. And so when I got there, it was still quite the mess. And that's where the real work went in, because the photographer was a family friend. So she actually doesn't know how to professionally stage, or even really take pictures and what angles. The flowers that they got, they self-ordered and made their own bouquets, but whoever was putting together the bouquets had no experience in floral arrangement, nor do I think they even watched a YouTube video, because it looks like you just picked flowers and you tied it with a ribbon and called it a day. Like there was no bow, and it was just like the entire stem with the leaves. So I, being an ex-videographer, helped pose and stage everyone, because the original photos were like this. I'm not kidding. She was posed like this. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. So I put her in different poses, and everyone else as well. The dress, they were originally just gonna put on her without steaming, so I steamed the dress as well. No makeup artist, so I did her. I don't do makeup at all. I have no experience with makeup, but I know how to at least be honest and say, hey, this looks good on your face and this doesn't. And so I also helped with makeup. I redid the floral arrangements. I took up all the leaves, cut the stems. The men's little, what's it called, boutonniere, I also had to readjust those because they were all crooked. None of them were the same size or the same fold, and so I had to redo everyone. And I'm doing all of this while I'm getting told from everyone, mainly on her fiance side, very rude comments about how I'm being anal, I'm doing too much, but mostly making racist remarks towards me. The day before her wedding, so the rehearsal dinner, at the actual dinner portion, her fiance said the most outrageous racist comment while we were eating and talking just about the idea of children towards me. And her response to that was what really hurt me, which was, she just, let's say his name was Chad, she just taps him and goes, Chad, and then she goes back to talking to a different individual, and that was it. I figured maybe it's because it's the day before her wedding. She doesn't want drama, so we'll talk about this later. Cool. Day of the wedding, again, like everything that I said before about adjusting the florals and the boutonnieres and pictures and everything that day. And then I hear more racist comments from his side of the family, so I'm already just not feeling good the entire night. I ask her, are you having a good time? And she's like, yeah, it was the best night I could have ever asked for. You did a great job. And I was like, thank you. And that was enough for me. I felt satisfied until her mother came over and said, and by the way, honey, I just want to let you know that Denise will be sleeping with you tonight. What? So the day before the wedding, her and I got a hotel room together because I was going to help her get ready. And then after the wedding, I would have that room to myself and she would go with her fiance. And it was 2 queen beds. And so her mother put her friend, her 60-year-old or 70-year-old friend, in that room with me that I'd never met before. And I was just like, no, this is not okay. I'm not comfortable with that. And she's like, oh, honey, you'll be fine. And she takes me over and she's like, here, I'll let you meet her. Let me meet her? What are you talking about? And so she takes me over to that friend and she goes, this is Denise, not actual name, by the way, obviously. And she'll be sleeping with you. And before I could even say anything, Denise speaks up and she goes, oh, thank you for taking me in. You know, I just drove in and it was like a 7-hour drive and I'm exhausted, but you know, I really appreciate that because, you know, we don't really know each other, but blah, 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 blah. And I feel so bad because she's this old lady that just drove 7 hours to be at this wedding, and I didn't want to force her to not have a place to go, but like, I assumed that my friend was standing next to me when her mom was just like, here, come over, like, let's meet her. I thought she was talking to us. No, she left again to speak with someone else. And so what I did that night was I actually ended up going out with other strangers, and I don't drink, but to drink my sorrows away. And I just stayed up until 5 a.m. in the morning because I did not want to sleep with a stranger in that room. And since checkout was like later on, After that woman woke up and she left, that's when I came back in and I slept for like maybe 1 or 2 hours. After the wedding, my friend did not contact me once. Not once. No phone call, nothing. In fact, I called them once to kind of address a situation. But they were like, oh, we're actually in the middle of driving back to our state right now and we're pretty tired. Can we talk about this later? And I was like, okay, sure. But the only thing that I got afterwards, no text, no phone call, was a card in the mail. And it was one of those pre-written cards. And the only handwritten item that was there was just a thank you after all that. And that's what our friendship meant to her. And that's why I let go of that over 20-year-old friendship. I'm not directing my response to this comment specifically, but there were a lot of people with similar ideas and opinions, and so let me address some common questions and concerns. First, as uneventful as it may seem, I made this decision long before I posted the video, and it had been over half a year. I'm at peace with my decision, it's resolute, so there is no side to be taken because we are just not going to be friends anymore, and that's okay. We grew in opposite directions, and now I move on. Additionally, as for the racist comments, go back about 10 videos after me wearing the black dress and you will see exactly what was spoken that night. I'm not farming for views. It really just is that deep and that extensive, and it truly is easier to just look back at what was spoken. Next, there is a misconception that I did too much. I did what was not asked for, that I was overbearing. Some people may view it that way, but the thing is, you weren't my friend for over 20 years, and I was. And I think after over 20 years of friendship, you should know what your person wants or needs before they even have to ask. For example, my partner does not need me to say, I want a chocolate cake on my birthday, because they have already heard me say it once and they remember because they care. They care enough to remember. And that's the same thing for me. I care enough to remember exactly what she wants and how she wants things. And so I do it before she even had to ask. Now, were there some things that were asked of me that I did, even though it wasn't necessarily my job or still fell within the realm of my job? Absolutely. For example, was I the photographer? No, but I did have directing experience. I used to work in film, and so it almost didn't make sense for me to not help in some people's eyes that were there. And so I was happy to offer help, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it was stressful on top of everything else that I did. And they came up to me and they were like, hey, so what are some poses that we could do? Or like, what should we do next? Or what else do you suggest? And I stepped in, because that's what family does. That's what friends, true friends, do that are like family. You just step in when you are needed, right? And I was happy to do so. With that being said, a lot of people are like, what did you expect from her? Or she owes you nothing. No, she actually does owe me something, and it's not what you think, okay? It's called respect. It's called decency. It's called manners. And when you have friends for over 20 plus years, the least you can do is respond back with a personal touch. That's all it is. No, I didn't need the money. I didn't need her to come at her knees saying thank you, thank you, thank you, or for her mom to even give me a call. All she had to do was get on a phone call with me, not even a day, a week, or even a month after the wedding. Just a simple phone call to check in and be like, hey, I'm sure you got home all right. How was the wedding for you? Thank you for a great night. Let's talk about what we both experienced, because that's a shared experience. That's how you create bonds. That's how you solidify a bond. But that's exactly what didn't take place. And while in the video, I believe I set it up, and this is on me. I acknowledge this is on me. I guess I set it up to make it seem like this was the only thing that kind of made this friendship end. It really was more like the cherry on top, because it wasn't new behavior per se. Again, she reached out after an extended period of time of no communication. Mind you, again, this is a long distance friendship. And so when we spoke, it was like we just pick up exactly where we left off. But it had been a long time, and I didn't even know that she had a partner. And then all of a sudden, I'm hearing that she's engaged, and that she's getting married and she would like for me to be her maid of honor. And again, that sentimental element is what pushed me to say yes, along with other things. And at the end of this, I'm not complaining. I am upset, and I have a right to be upset, but we're now just moving on. I'm grateful for the role that she played in my life, and I meant everything that I said, not only at the speech, but even in that video where I wanted to do this for her. And while she may have not seen the level of sentiment that I had growing up, again, that sanctuary that she was for me, and she may have even never known, regardless, I did my part. And now we move on. And I'm seeing that it wasn't mutual, and that's okay. And the end lesson truly is this, and that's what the video really was. It's a lesson for me. I am always going to be an empathetic, loving, and giving person. And some people may view that as a weakness, but for me, that is my strength. And that is okay. Yeah, I'm telling myself that. And moving forward, I just need to discern who is most worthy of that. That's all it is. I'm never going to stop giving. I'm never going to stop loving. I just have to discern who most deserves it. And if along the way, even if there are people who didn't deserve it, that got my love, my attention, and everything that I give, so what? That's a part of my happiness flowing into them. And isn't that what joy is about? And now, as disheartening as it is, because I lost a friend where I had this idealized version of them, and that's on me, in my head, I understand what I am letting go and for what good. And now, we just move on.
This is my impression of people from the Midwest when they have a slice of pizza and they see ranch on the table.
Hi y'all, this is a story time on how I found out I was pregnant at 17 and how I hid it for like almost 3 months, and then my mom forced me to get an abortion. There's kind of 2 stories in this story. Like, there's a really big part to the story, but if y'all want that story, y'all can let me know, because like I don't really want to get into all of that, but that has to do with like the guy. But just know, basically, the guy that got me pregnant is not the guy like that I was like talking to at the time, basically, right? And so I went to this boy's house, and I literally deserved everything I got as far as getting pregnant, because I literally linked with a boy to make another girl mad because the girl treated me some type of way, and I was trying to make her mad like a dumb, weak bitch, because that's literally what that gave, dumb, weak bitch behavior. And now that girl, she spent the rest of her high school months living it up, and I spent my high school months fat and ugly. But yeah, basically, I linked with this boy or whatever, and, you know, bada bing, bada boom, we ended up doing it during school, like, not at school, but, like, during school hours, we took an Uber to his house, and we ended up doing it or whatever. And the thing is, y'all, I wasn't trying to, like, I wasn't even, like, that wasn't my intention when I went over there. I was just going over there to link with him, because I knew that I was gonna make her mad if she found out we linked, and I was like, she probably gonna think we fucked, and I was gonna be like, joke's on you, I didn't even have to fuck your nigga. But girl, look at you, nut rag, like, for real. And I can make jokes about it now, because like this was really some pathetic, sorry ass shit that I did. So it's like I can't be mad at nobody but myself. But anyway, the boy that I was talking to at the time, he didn't know that like I had just linked with this other boy, right? And this happened, y'all, January 21st. I had sex and got nothing on January 21st, 2024. I remember vividly, because I remember the day that everything went down, when my friend was texting me like, where are you at? Because I told her I was going to be at lunch with her, and she was like, where you at? And I'm saying, y'all, it's a whole nother story. And I was like, I was just like, I'm not at school right now, but I'll be there. But yeah, but I, you know, just being a shitty ass person, honestly. I was not a good person in high school, I'm sorry. But yeah, so basically I ended up getting pregnant or whatever, and I was friends with the boy's brother, because the boy's brother was older than him. And I had told him, I was like, look, my period is late. And then he was like, are you pregnant? You cannot be pregnant. And like, he literally started spazzing out. As soon as he did that, I was like, I know you're not finna help me raise this baby. So, well, like his brother, I was like, I know, like, he not finna help me raise this baby, so like I'm not even finna carry on with you no more. So I told him, like, then I ended up telling him like 2 days later, I was like, oh, my period came, even though it never came. But y'all, I was trying to manifest my period coming. I was like, it's gonna come. I kept speaking into existence, but it would not come, y'all, would not come. So by the time, I would say it's been probably like 3 weeks I haven't got my period. I ended up calling my homegirl. I'm like, please, can you take me to get this pregnancy test? And literally she's like, girl, you're probably not pregnant, because like when you're in high school and you be fucking like, you get pregnant scared a lot, and like people like we be thinking like as girls, oh yeah, we're pregnant, and then you turn out you never pregnant. So it's like I was thinking, oh, like, you know, I'm not gonna be pregnant, but I was. And I remember like I peed on the stick at Food Lion. And me and my friend went in the bathroom. I peed on the stick, and I had her look at it, and I remember her face dropped, and I was like, girl, like, Jada, stop playing. And she like, no, dead ass, like, you're pregnant. And I was like, what the fuck? So I told her, I was like, what do I do? Like, and she knew who my real BD was, y'all. Like, I fuck with Jada, because the boy that I was fucking with, she actually used, like, him and her were like cool. So the fact that she had my back, okay, thanks. But I was wrong for this. I'm sorry, I was wrong. But basically, I remember me and her drove to Zaxby's, because we was just driving around, because I was trying to figure out what the fuck am I gonna do? Am I gonna get an abortion? Am I gonna keep it? Like, what am I gonna tell my man? Like, because the boy I was talking to at the time, I was like, I kind of just cheated on him, like, and at my job, me and him had only had sex one time. Sorry, y'all, I'm selling something on Facebook Marketplace, and people keep trying to like play me like somebody trying to buy it for $150. Like, babe, this is worth $500. Like, okay, sorry, that's not relevant. But yeah, so boom, where was I? Oh yeah, me and her in the Zaxby's parking lot, and we're in the car, and she's like, what are you gonna do? And she was like, Bree, honestly, you should just not tell the real BD who the baby is. You should tell the nigga that you're with his baby, because the boy that I fucked, y'all, was light skinned as fuck, and I used to go with a white boy. I was dating a white boy, so if I would have had the baby would have came out light skinned. So I was like, okay, like in my head I'm like, you know what, that might like actually work, you know. I was like, no, like that's wrong, because like I don't want to have him raise a baby that's not his. And she was like, okay, but all them times that he did this to you and he did that, just like fueling my head. And I don't blame her or anything, because I'm my own person. I could have made my own decision, to be honest, but yeah. I was like, you know, fuck it. So I ended up calling him just to see his reaction. I was like, yeah, I'm pregnant. And I told this to the boy I'm effing with, and he was like, what? You're pregnant? He was like, I did not know you. I know for a fact I didn't know you. I was like, but I would never cheat on you. Like, you think I'm a cheater? Like, what? That's not even me. Like, that I know. But then he he was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're pregnant. What are we gonna do? I was like, I don't know. I ended up going back to the house. I remember my mom was on the couch. She's like, hey, we're like, she never does this, but she was like, hey, come sit down for a second. I was like, hey. She was like, well, like, how was your like trip with Jada? Because like y'all don't be hanging out that much. Like, what made you want to hang out with her? And like, I wanted to tell my mom so bad, but I just could not, y'all. Like, I did not have the balls to tell her. I didn't have the courage to tell her. Like, I was just like, my mama got pregnant when she was 18, so I was like, I know my mom want me to be better than her, so I don't want to tell her. So I was like, I'm just gonna try to get an abortion myself. But like I told y'all, I might have deleted it when I restarted this video, but my mom never really gave me no money when I was in school. I only got money if I had a job or after I graduated and I had like an actual real big girl job. That's when I was making money. So I was like, I'm not gonna be able to get an abortion. And the boy, he was saying, he was like, you know, I don't know how we're gonna be able to afford an abortion, even though he trapped. So I'm like, you literally trapped, so why can't you get money, baby? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm confused. But he was on some BS, which is why it got to a point where I didn't even feel bad, because like he didn't even care about the fact that I was pregnant. So I literally just stopped caring that I even lied to him, because I was like, you don't even care. Like this is exactly what you get. Like, that's how I felt. But now that I'm older, I know that it was wrong in general, because it's like, you just shouldn't put that stress on nobody, you know. But also, he cheated on me multiple times. So fuck him. Like, I let a white person cheat on me. I let a white boy. Like, if it was a white girl, maybe, because white girls are bad, but like a white boy, really? But yeah, so boom, me and Jada, me and her, we're really close at this time. I'm always calling her, always texting her. Me and her trying to come up with all these solutions. Me and the boy, he like, oh, I looked on Google said if you like take some vitamin C and some cinnamon, it'll kill the baby. I'm doing all these things to try to get an abortion, y'all. Like, I punched myself. I did some unspeakable things to try to get that baby out of me, and nothing worked, y'all. Nothing worked. One day he was like, I'm gonna give you this perk. He drove to my house and he gave me a Percocet. He was like, take this perk, it's gonna kill the baby. And I said no, and I didn't take it, y'all, because I was like, it might kill the baby, might kill me too. I know you see me, I'm 100 pounds soaking wet, like wet, even though I was bigger back then. But yeah, then it got to a point, y'all, where it was probably like the second month that I was pregnant, and I was, bro, that's why I came on here. I asked y'all recently, a couple months ago, when I was pregnant, about, is it normal to be a month pregnant and not be showing it all in your stomach? Because when I tell y'all, my boobs were big as fuck. My face was so fat. Like, I looked pregnant and I was only like 2 months. And I don't know how my mom did not notice that I was pregnant, because literally my whole face changed, my whole demeanor changed, my whole attitude changed, my whole energy and aura was just completely different. I was always in my room, just depressed. I was barely eating anything. Like, it was awful, y'all. And when I tell y'all, like, I had the worst pregnancy symptoms ever. Like, it was like God wanted me to tell my mama I was pregnant because he made it so hard for me to hide that I was pregnant. Like, I would be having random conversations with her, and I would randomly have the urge to just throw up. Like, and it was so bad. Like, I had the worst acid reflux. Also, I still have acid reflux now from that pregnancy. The bloating, don't even get me started. Like, it was just so bad. I was having vivid dreams, the crying. My school was 3 floors, and I had to always walk up 3 flights of stairs. Like, it was just horrible. And then I remember I got to like probably like the 3rd month, and I thought I wasn't pregnant no more, y'all, because when I tell y'all the bloating went away, and like as skinny as I am right now, that's how skinny I was. And I was like, oh my God, I guess I'm not pregnant anymore. And then one day, I think I threw up. Oh yeah, I had some Olive Garden and some Taco Bell, and I ended up throwing it up, and I was like, okay, I'm definitely still pregnant. And I was like, you know what, I have to tell my mom. Like, I don't have a choice, I have to tell her. But I was like, I'm so far along now, hopefully my mom will just let me keep it. And I was like, I'm not even gonna tell the BD that I'm keeping the baby, because I had already told him that, oh, I think the baby died, because like I got skinny and like my symptoms, I thought they stopped for a while, for like a good week. So I told him, I was like, oh, I think we're good, but baby, I was still pregnant. So I ended up telling my mom, I was like, hey, I think so I lied to her. I was like, you know, my period hasn't come in a while, and like I don't think that I'm pregnant, but I could be. And I told her, I was like, you know, I don't think I'm pregnant, but I could be, basically. And she was like, okay, well, let's take a pregnancy test. And like, she had such a calm reaction, I literally got irritated, because I was like, damn, you was this calm. I literally could have just told you the second I found out I was pregnant, and we could have went and got plan B. Like, but yeah, well, I guess not the second, because I didn't know I was pregnant until like literally like 10-11 days after. But still. And hold on, I'll finish the rest of part 2.
Hi, do you like cuddling? Do you like thunderstorms? Do you like movies? Great! Come down and fill out an application to be Jen's Thunder Buddy. All we want to do is sit inside and watch movies and listen to rainstorms.
Hey y'all, this is part 2 to how I found out I was pregnant at 17 and how I tried to hide it for 3 months. Well, I did hide it, but like I can kind of slow down and like recover some parts, because I tried to talk fast at the end of the last video because I was trying to get it all in one video. But the part that I feel like I started to speed up on was when I was talking about my symptoms. So it got to a point where my mom, like she wasn't noticing like that I was pregnant, and I was just like, you know what, if nobody else is gonna notice that I'm pregnant, then I'm just gonna keep telling myself that I'm not pregnant, I'm not pregnant, I'm not pregnant, and it's gonna go away on its own. And that's what I thought it did. And I remember, y'all, I genuinely thought that I was not pregnant, because I said in the last video it was like a week where the symptoms stopped, but it was longer than a week. Like, it was for a little minute, y'all, where I felt like the acid reflux stopped. I wasn't getting nauseous anymore. I wasn't always getting sad. The horrible vivid dreams, because when I tell y'all, when I was pregnant, I had the worst like dreams ever. Like dreams that I remember them to this day, actually. Like, it was bad. And I was like, yeah, you know, it's gonna go away. And I was like, wow, it went away. And I remember, y'all, I thought God like just answered my prayer, because I remember I was praying every single day. When I found out I was pregnant, I was praying every day. I was like, God, please take this baby away. I'm so sorry. I know I was wrong for linking with that boy. I know I was being fast. You know, please do something about this, like immediately. Like, please. So I was like, maybe the baby just passed. And I didn't know how miscarriages work. I didn't know if you had a miscarriage that you're obviously supposed to bleed, which I feel like it's kind of common sense, but I have heard some women say they've had a miscarriage and didn't bleed, so maybe it's not. So my mom, I remember this was probably in like April, she told me that she didn't care if I started smoking weed, because her husband, his family, his sons and stuff, and his sisters, they all smoke weed. And so whenever we would all go to his mama's house, all the kids would be smoking weed except me and my stepbrother, and they felt like we felt left out. So they was like, you know, you can smoke weed. And I was like, okay, cool. And I remember, y'all, I ended up, you know, hitting the blunt, and when I hit the blunt, it tasted so weird. And that wasn't the first time I smoked. I had smoked weed before. I smoked weed when I was friends with these girls. The girls that's another story time. But so I was like, I know this is not how it's supposed to taste. So I was like, and then I remember as soon as I hit the blunt, like my stomach started hurting. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. And then the next day, lo and behold, I ended up throwing up. And I was like, wow, you're back. Like, you never left, because you never did. And that's when I was just like, wow, everything's just so fucked. Like, oh my gosh, I just smoked. And y'all, I felt like such a horrible person, because I was like, bro, did I just kill my baby? Like, y'all, like, I got so maternal because like I was like, wait, I'm still pregnant, because like y'all, I said it was only a week where I thought I wasn't pregnant. No, I think for a good like month, like the last month before I told my mom that I wasn't pregnant, that was because I thought I was not pregnant no more. I wish I could insert a picture, but I don't got my phone no more, of how skinny I was at this time. But I literally could call my homegirl. She could tell you that when I was coming to school, I remember I had this green crop top on with these black leggings, and my stomach was literally looking like this, y'all. It was looking like this, and I was like, oh, I guess I'm not pregnant anymore. And my face was clearing up. Like, I don't know what that was about, but yeah. And so it just got to a point, y'all, where it's like, I have to tell my mom, because like the fact that I'm still pregnant, this baby is obviously not going to go anywhere. I don't want to just be 8 months pregnant and then she puts it together, because she's like, wow, like you're clearly pregnant. But you know, so I was like, I have to tell her. So I ended up the next day, because I was like, okay, I can't do it right now. I got home from school, and we were sitting at the bar, and she was cooking, and I was like, Mom, I haven't got my period in a couple months. And I fabricated the story. Obviously, I was like, I don't know what's wrong, but I haven't got my period. Like, I don't know why though, like, but I ain't got it yet. And she was like, oh, well, that is weird, like, but she didn't think I was pregnant. Like, she wasn't thinking that, because my mama didn't really think I was sexually active like that. Like, she didn't think her daughter was getting no play. You know, my mom, she really thought I was a goody two-shoes, but that's because she always had these strict behind rules for me. So it was like, that's why once I got some freedom when I moved schools, I went kind of haywire, because it was like my mama wasn't really letting me do nothing. And now I got all these boys in my face, and I don't love myself at this time. So I don't love myself. I got all these boys in my face who are selling me a story. Oh, you look so pretty, or I want to take you on a date, or all this bullshit. And it's stuff that I haven't heard before. And I ain't got no daddy to tell me what a real man, how a real man was. Like, I don't have all this. And my mama, I watched my mom chase a man who lived in a home with another woman that he was married to for literally 10 years. So I have no good example of what real love in a relationship is supposed to be like. My mom was not affectionate, so it was just like, I didn't know what love was, y'all. Like, it was bad. And so, you know, I ended up telling her, like, you know, I think I'm pregnant or whatever. She was like, let's go take a pregnancy test. And she had one under her sink. I was like, okay, hot mama. And she ended up, you know, giving it to me. I peed on it. We found out I was pregnant. And the reaction she gave me was just like, okay, we're going to figure this out. And when she said that, and she told me, she was like, you know, it's your decision. The first thing she told me was your decision, what you want to do. And I remember I ended up texting my BD, the boy who thought he was BD, and I was like, hey, like, you know, I am still pregnant. He was like, what? I thought you said you wasn't pregnant. You lied, da-da-da. And I was like, no, like, the symptoms went away, and then now they back. And I was like, but my mama talking about, like, I should get an abortion, but, like, I feel like I'm too far along to do that. And he was like, no, you need to get that abortion. Like, bitch, and that's why I played you, and this isn't your baby, because you keep trying to tell me, like, that pissed me off. Everybody kept trying to tell me what I should do with my body. Like, and my mom, I said this in a video a couple months ago, y'all. My mom, she tried to make it seem like she was like, she didn't care which route I chose, but I could tell which route she wanted me to take. And she was like, I'll support you if you have your baby, but you know, like, you're gonna have to be the one who stays up with your baby, and you're gonna, and I'm like, yes, I know, like, duh, I'm gonna be the mother, but like, are you gonna help me or not? Because if you're not gonna help me, then I'm gonna have to think about what I'm gonna do. Like, honestly, y'all, even if I wouldn't have had an abortion, I probably would have chose to maybe give my baby up for adoption, maybe. But like, if I could have chose differently, I would not have had an abortion. And honestly, I probably wouldn't even give my baby up for adoption, because I feel like after I push out a baby and hold it to my chest for the first time, how can I let somebody take it and give it to another family, you know? So it was just like, and yeah, so I ended up doing that, and my mom, we went back and forth about it for a good 2 weeks, and she was like, well, we need to hurry up because you're at this amount of time. And she was like, we don't even know what exact week you're at until we go get the ultrasound. Then we went to Planned Parenthood. We found out that an abortion for the how far along that I was a cool over a band. It was $1,000. And my mom, she was so willing to like not have a grandchild that she was like, no, I'll pay the $1,000. You don't gotta pay me back. She didn't like break a cry, break a tear, break a sweat about paying that money. Like, she was like, okay, we'll pay it as long as you don't have a baby. And yeah, and I remember we actually went to Myrtle Beach the weekend before my abortion, and I remember that weekend, fuck, why am I about to cry? Shit. I remember that weekend we were at the beach, and because like at this point everybody in the family knew I was pregnant. I mean, my my step dad, his family didn't know I was pregnant, even though we were on the beach trip together. But I'm sure they put 2 and 2 together because I looked so big on that beach trip, y'all. Like, I'm pretty sure they knew I was pregnant. And I remember when we were on the beach trip, and like I was just obviously being open about the fact that I was pregnant. I didn't have to hide it anymore, and it was the first time I felt free. And especially because we were in public, and it felt like I was on a vacation with my baby. I knew I didn't want to get an abortion. Like, right then in that moment, I remember, like, I was standing on the beach. I had my pink bathing suit top on. I was looking at the water, and I was rubbing my stomach, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have an abortion. I want to keep my baby, but I knew it was too late. And I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I want to change my mind. She was like, oh, it's too late. We already paid for half the abortion. And I was like, well, I'll get a job and I'll pay you back. And I was anything, but she had made up her mind and had an abortion. And if y'all want a story time on how that went, because that was the most excruciating pain I've ever went through in my life. I didn't have a medical abortion. I had a surgical abortion. I had a doula and everything. It was horrible, but that's my abortion story time. And that's what my tattoo is for. It's about my mom and my baby, basically. But yeah, don't have kids and don't have sex, y'all. Well, actually, no, you can have kids, but don't have sex unless you're ready.